All right, everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Beyond the Naked Eye. I'm joined here by Ryan Fleming, aka Zeus. Now, my first question right off the bat is Zeus. How did you get that nickname?
There was a wrestler that, well, he was a wrestler at the time. He's an actor, just passed away last year, Tony Lister. A lot of people know him as Debo from the Friday movies. He was also in The Fifth Element, played the president there. He played a character named Zeus in this Hulk Hogan movie back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And my buddy's dad just gave me the nickname Zeus just because, I don't know, that was the popular black guy at the time. So, so it was like, yeah, give it to him. Like, I mean, I was like
I guess
15
it works,
years
eh?
old. So I was like, okay.
I like
I'm a
that.
big Greek mythology fan anyway. So to me, it was okay.
I mean, hey, that's a
I like
badass
it.
nickname.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd want to be called Zeus. That's a badass nickname.
Thanks.
Okay.
You can't have it though.
Oh, all right, fair enough. Trademark, eh?
Yeah.
Little TM.
Yeah.
All right. So switching topics, going back into the past year. I remember from watching Lightning Strikes Twice, you always talked about how you felt like you had a calling to Vancouver.
Right.
So my question was, have you wanted to pursue this industry ever since you can remember, or was there a different reason to go back then?
Oh, geez. No, I think I've always wanted to pursue this industry. That's I and it's funny because I look back and I remember my first time where it kind of caught me, and it was grade 3 or grade 4. Honestly, we had done a school presentation, a school play, like a school-wide play that would present it to the world back in 1983. No, and they made me the MC for it, which was just seemed like a giveaway role basically. And all I did was introduce the different songs that were coming on, and I just remember loving it, and the people going kind of crazy and giving me praise for like grade 4 or 5, whatever it was. And from there I've just always loved it. And the first play I did, I remember that was the Lord of Dracula, and I just played a Bobby, like I played a British cop. But yeah, I've just really always loved it. And I don't know what it is about Vancouver, but Vancouver's always been the calling for me. I've always, for as long as I can remember, wanted to live out west. I've even had dreams when I was a kid about living out there, like vividly remembering it. Like I want to go to Vancouver one day to see if I actually end up in the place I dreamt about way back then.
Did you have like a family member or something who lived there? Like what bit you? Like what?
Nothing. I don't know. It could have been the Beachcombers TV show back in the 80s. I know that I'm a big sci-fi and sci-fi fan, and a big geek, obviously, as you see behind me. A lot of sci-fi, especially 80s and 90s sci-fi, is filmed out in Vancouver still to this day. You watch any of the CW superhero shows, the majority of them are filmed out there. Lucifer filmed out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's what Vancouver is. It's Hollywood North, if you will. So, and I don't know. That's just it's always kind of called out to me, maybe because of that stuff, but I honestly don't know why. Maybe it's just the fact that they rarely get snow.
Oh yeah, I guess I never thought about that. Oh.
Yeah, I'd rather. It's easier to shovel rain, is the way I look.
That's a great saying.
Yeah.
What got you in the way of pursuing broadcasting? Because obviously you took the program now or a couple of years ago. What what was such the delay?
Well, I originally went to Humber College back in the 90s when I graduated high school for theater. I got in there and I got into another place in New York called AMDA, which is the American Musical Dramatic Arts Academy. But it was like 30 grand to go there, American.
Oh wow.
And that was way more than I could afford. Even and they didn't have OSAP.
Geez.
So I looked in Canada and Humber, and there was a place in British Columbia that were kind of known as the two best places for theater. And it was just easier for me at the time just to go to Humber. and it was known as the better of the two anyways. I went there and it went all right, but I don't know. I dropped out that first year. I wasn't ready for it. I kind of blamed it on my first kid being born then as well. But I just really wasn't ready for college the first time around. And I remember always thinking that Samuel L. Jackson started acting when he was 40.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and now I don't know if this is just one of those old wives' tale or old Hollywood tales that isn't really true, but I had always heard that and went by that. So I had told my ex at the time, and even my kids, like when I hit 40, I'll give it a shot again. And I hit 40 again, and I was working construction. Hated that job with a passion, and I was like, yeah, you know what? This winter when we go off for winter layoff, I'm gonna go back to college. And
well, that kind of actually
record with me.
That kind of segues actually into my next question, because I know you've had your fair share of jobs. I know you're a bartender, you're a team lead in construction sites, you're a bellman at the Hilton Hotel. Yeah. So my question, when like doing any of these jobs, and I'm certain you've had more, was it ever a point where like you could settle, or was it always like, I want to do this?
I think because I've always just wanted to be in entertainment, I think all those jobs were always just placeholders, I guess. Ways to pay the bills, ways to help pay for my kids and, rent and an ex-wife, but yeah, none of those felt like the be all end all. I never felt like I was in my place or in my element. Running bars I've done my entire life, but that's anyone who works in entertainment has worked in a bar, whether you've been a line cook or you've been a server, a bartender, or even a manager. We've all done some form of it, just because it's easy money in between gigs. But yeah, aside from that, no, none of the stuff has really been like, oh yeah, the Hilton was great. I loved working there. Great money. That was the best money I've ever made in my life. I made more money there than I did doing construction, just on tips alone. Yeah,
you wouldn't think that, eh?
No, but I'm telling you, anyone who ever goes to work in a hotel, become a bellman. Those guys do something great. Like, you get tipped by everybody.
That's the go-to job, eh?
That is the go-to job. People be like, "Oh, you want a bartender?" I'm like, no. The bartenders have no idea. Like, I had no idea. So
I could just picture like the receptionist, like nobody cares. Like there's a whole line just for the bellman.
Yeah, man. It's almost like a hidden, like an unsaid thing in the hotels too, that bellmen try not to say that to other people, to let them know how much money they're actually pulling in, because it could be quite ridiculous.
I love that. That's so I love that job. It's so funny.
It's so good. It's so good. Like, oh my God, and I'm losing weight every day, pushing carts around, carrying everyone's bags. Yeah, man. Good times.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to RATGTV. I was kind of curious because you're like kind of internet famous. And I found it fascinating that you had this like entire brand, even like before starting college, which leads me to my question. At the beginning stages of launching RATGTV, what was the goal?
There was no goal, really. When I first started doing RATGTV, it was based off of Ryan's All Things Geek, the page, and that was just, I'm a huge nerd, geek. I have toys, and you can't really see this in my blue sleeve here. I've got toys, I've got action figures, I've got comic books everywhere, and I was posting that on Facebook a lot, and a lot of people weren't like, I just felt like I was pissing my friends off, really, and stopping myself from getting any dates. So I made All Things Geek with a friend of mine, Johnny, and the two of us kind of did that, and he's been on and off of Facebook, and I haven't really talked to him in years. I have no idea what happened to him. But we switched over to Ryan's All Things Geek, mostly because there was like a couple other All Things Geek pages out there, and wanted to stand apart from them. So we did that. A friend of mine, we started doing podcasts as well. And a friend of mine offered for us to do it at his tattoo parlor. So we did it there. They were the BLX experiment, which was really great. James Takeo, shout out to James. Thanks for having us there. And then another friend of ours that was part of that kind of group of artists that all hung out, Dave Bagarosa, suggested my name to 103.7 FM, which is Brock University Radio. And he's like, hey, this guy's got his own podcast. And we were starting to pick up a little bit of steam with our podcast. I don't know how we got really big in Australia. Like, and I mean, when we got really big, I mean, our page at the time, we maybe had like 200 to maybe 500 people on the page. But out of those 500 people, at least half were Australian. And it's the weirdest. And maybe not half, but I mean, the majority there were more Australians than there were Canadians.
That's so weird.
Which is so, it's mind-boggling, and still to this day, Australia is like huge for us. So they listened to our show and they're like, yeah, hey, do you want to come on the radio? And I'd never been on the radio, no clue what I was doing at all. So myself, I went on. The first show was rough because, like I said, I had no idea what I was doing. Mm-hmm. We did it on Saturdays. There was no producer there for us, so there's no one to tell us how to load up commercials or anything like that. Like I said, insane. And I had another host, Shannon McFarland-Sawchuk, and we did well. We did well, and then she left. I'm not sure why. Wanted to pursue other things. And then I asked one of my lifelong friends, Steve Lambert, if he wanted to come on and be my co-host. And he came on, and Steve's crazy. He's called the Welland Wingnut for a reason. And the rest is kind of, yeah. And we brought on I think the very first interview I did was with Kel Simons. I messed up his last name that entire interview. I mess it up to this day. He's a writer, a director in Hollywood. I don't know how I even lucked into this. But he was doing a documentary on the Pee Wee Herman show. But he was making a comic book as well. Okay. And I knew the artist on the comic book, and that's how we got the interview. And it just started to kind of pick up from there. And we started getting more and more interviews. And yeah, we were at Brock for, I think, 3 years. Because we were there, because we were on something that had, even though we were a university radio station, the fact that we were on FM, terrestrial radio, really gave us that kind of added gravitas. So when I started asking people for interviews or asking for media passes, people were like, oh yeah, you're with an FM station. For sure. It was like when I started working at Giant FM a couple of years ago, like, doors started opening for me just because I worked there. And I'm like, I'm not even a DJ. I post the shit that goes on the internet,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What would you say is like the goal now with RATGTV compared to back then?
Well, back then it was we were just having fun sort of thing. And, just trying to, I don't know. I don't know what our goal really was then. We were just winging it. And then we started, over the years, because that was a long time ago, almost 10 years ago. And over the last few years, we've put the thought into, let's get some sponsors. Let's try to kind of do this up as a real thing. And that's my end game is what you see in this background here is I'd like to have my own talk show. I would like for it to be a Canadian talk show. If it's in the States, so be it. That'd be great as well. More money, of course, but I'd be more proud to be like Canada's only late night talk show host.
That would be pretty cool,
now, right? Like we have talk shows in Canada. We don't have a late night talk show host. Strophanopoulos was the closest we've had for a long time, but we don't even have him anymore.
That's interesting. Well, hey, man, also, congratulations on winning the Diamond for Best Local Entertainment in the Welland Tribute.
Thank you. Thanks.
That's really cool. I mean, it's really cool because, like you said, back then, it was just a thing for fun. But now it's like you're actually building a brand.
Yeah, it's weird. So we've gone on from, Well, for one, thank you for that. Anytime you have an award like this, I know a lot of people in Welland though. Like I grew up in this city. When I was growing up here, I was one of very few Black people in the city. I've always been out there. People have always kind of known who I was. So when it comes to awards like this, like mail-in vote-in awards for local stuff, it's kind of, and I don't mean to take away from anyone who won any other awards, but for me it was, I appreciate it, but a lot of it was just a popularity contest, honestly. So I had more friends than the other people in my category. It wasn't that I was more talented than them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really talented people that were in that category. So yeah. What's the question moving forward?
Yeah, well, what is your goal? I mean, you already mentioned it, how like you want to be the first the first Canadian late night show host.
Mm.
Is that the direction you want to take Ratchet TV, or is there anything else you want to do? Or
Well, yeah, Ratchet TV, I would love for that to be kind of the late night talk show. I don't know that we would call it Ratchet TV. I would like it for me to be myself and Steve there as my co-host.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't want to pigeonhole us into just being geek related
Mhm.
stuff. And to me, though, that when you say all things geek, whatever you geek out to, whatever you're passionate about is what you geek out to. I'm a diehard Vikings fan. I geek out to the Vikings more than I geek out to any of this comic book stuff. And
Mhm.
trust me, I geek out hard to all of that too. Like my kids are named Logan and Phoenix. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's I could see us doing that show, but Zeus 10 Productions is kind of the next phase for us. We're filming a YouTube show, which I'm not even in it at all. For these two vegan hippie chicks, and we want to start building our brand, building the Zeus 10 brand, where it's not just me. We want to bring in other young creators under the Zeus 10 brand as well and promote them and make it one kind of big family of creators, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, I
uh,
get that.
yeah, and the talk show host stuff, that would be what I do as my daytime job,
Mhm.
and the Zeus 10 stuff would be
Mhm.
my legacy, I guess, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Well, actually, that kind of actually goes into my next question because I remember from watching Lightning Strikes Twice, and shout out to whoever made that, 'cause I thought it was amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
Brandon and
and
Autumn and everybody, Levi, great crew.
mhm.
Raccoon.
And one thing I remember specifically was seeing how emotional you got when you're talking about the relationship you've had with some of your fans.
Yeah.
So I can clearly tell how much you love it. But like in the future, say 5 years time, and I know we were just talking about this, do you think there will be an end to all things geek, or is it something that's never going to die?
I mean, so I'm sure it has a finite life to it. But the only reason why I say that is, and I just mean the Facebook presence of it. A little while ago, I got into a bit of a online fight with a guy running for mayor here in Welland.
Oh, really?
And afterwards, we don't know for sure, but we're all pretty sure. He reported me for sharing videos on my page that I didn't own on Ryan's All Things Geek, and Facebook takes that shit really serious. So
Hmm.
they canceled my account. So I
Whoa.
had a Ryan. My account wasn't always Zeus Fleming; it was Ryan Fleming,
Hmm.
and so it got canceled. I wasn't able to fight it or anything like that. So I'd lost like 11 years worth of my kids' photos, my memories, all these other things because of that. I tried to keep making all these new accounts, and every time I'd make a new one, I'd change the email address, whatever, and just change it up a bit, but I always have my name. And then I was noticing I'd get to a couple hundred people, and then Facebook would shut me down.
Whoa, that's
Oh.
crazy.
So I made the Zeus one, thinking about the old nickname that I had from my buddy Mike and Dave's dad, and so I made it with that. And as soon as I made it, the first thing I did is I went to that guy's profile page and I blocked him, and then I blocked a few of his family members, and I've been going strong ever since. So
Oh, I guess that's what works.
I mean, I don't like. I can't say for sure it was him, but I'm just saying all the evidence.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But that's a little bit. You said like the internet famous or whatever, you know.
Mhm.
And I don't even know if I'd go that far. I'd say I'm internet notable. People know who I am, but
Mhm.
I wouldn't say,
Like you definitely have a niche. I think that's fair to say.
yeah. Well, and I mean, I think we all do. Everybody has their own niche, right? It's just a
Mhm.
matter of how you embrace it and if you want to share it with the world, right?
Mhm.
Just that's kind of part of my niche is putting it out there.
I guess that's fair. So is the direction the Zeus 10 Productions as you're talking about?
Yeah, Zeus 10 is kind of like I said, that's kind of what I want the legacy to be, you know. My kids aren't big on the entertainment aspect yet, at least.
Mhm.
But I would like to have something that they can carry on, or that somebody else could at least carry on in the name. As we were talking about the me getting booted from Facebook that first time, the one downfall of that was I was the only administrator on my page, on Ryan's All Things Geeks page. Everybody else was just an editor. So everyone can post and they could do live streams, but you can't add, no one could add any new admins or delete any administrators. So
Oh,
I can't even run my own page anymore. Like I
that's
have to
crazy.
log in through one of the other admins to get in.
That's so crazy. That's
So
like
yeah,
yours. You can't even.
there's nothing I can do about it either. So we've tried. We've talked to Facebook. I've talked to social media people that I know in the industry. Even some social media teachers that we have that work in the industry, and I just got caught in one of those weird paradoxical, uh, 1 in a million, never happen again instances. You know, and
How long has this feud been ongoing?
the feud with him and I.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Since we were probably children, but.
Oh, okay.
The last stuff was since he was running for mayor. He had short story was he was running for mayor, and I had just asked everybody who they were voting for,
Mhm.
and I gave my opinions on who I'd vote for because someone had asked. But I didn't even live in Welland at the time, so I didn't have a vote. And he confronted me a few days later about it and asked me why I never had him on my show. And I'm like, I have a geek show. I don't have any of the politicians on. Got all mad and rolled away. And then he sends me a 6-page diatribe, like just this, like he's very Donald Trump like. So he's just screaming and yelling and saying he's just word vomiting. He's making himself he's revealing his true self.
Mhm.
And at this time, I had 5,000 friends on Facebook. I was at the point where I couldn't receive any new friends on Facebook because once you get to 5,000, you're capped.
Oh, really? I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still that way, but it was that way at that point. And so I did what anybody would have done. I screen captured the entire messages and I shared it on Facebook. This was a week before the election. It got shared over 670 times.
Oh, wow.
He only got 212 votes. He
Oh,
came in like
damn.
dead last, like dead last.
Oh, Jesus.
So we figured and it was I think a week after that, not even a week after that, when my thing got reported and I got
Oh,
booted.
damn. How
So
long ago
that's
was this?
when
Like, what year was this?
I don't know, 2018.
Oh, okay.
It was within 5 years or so. Yeah, it
Hmm.
hasn't been that long. I haven't been going by Zeus that long.
Yeah.
You know,
It's funny because like
I'm from the area. My friends wouldn't let me be that egotistical to go by Zeus.
maybe that's why everybody calls you Zeus, just so like they can protect you. Like,
Yeah.
has anyone seen Ryan Fleming?
Yeah, who? No, we don't know. Zeus. Oh yeah, we know him.
All right, so now it's almost present day. but I want to take you back to last year. You're in your second year of broadcasting at your college. Things are presumably going great, and then COVID hits. Now, how did that feel for you? Did you almost feel like it was fate? Like, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm never going to Vancouver.
I mean, yeah, well, there was part of me that still held out hope that Vancouver was happening. It wasn't until like shit, even around October, when I started thinking, yeah, this isn't going to happen. Because the people I was reaching out to were just like, yeah, we don't know. Like it's we like, just like everyone, we don't know. And just like how here, when we went through our lockdown and still kind of going through it, where we were trying to say people from Toronto don't come down here. That's what they were saying about people from out east. They're like, we don't want anybody from Ontario. We see your numbers. Your numbers are going up higher than everywhere else.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you can't blame them either for wanting to keep their people safe. Not only it's the right thing to do morally to try to keep, you know, your fellow people safe, but financially as well. You want everyone to be able to work, you know, and they can't work if everyone's infected and you got to shut down, right? So, I mean, it sucked. It sucked big donkey dick, but I mean, like, I mean, yeah, that's quotable. But that's, you know, that's life though. Like, that's just, you know, like, I don't know. The older I get, I don't know if it's the older I get or it's just, it has to be that. But just, you get to accept that sometimes just shit happens, you know, like, and the earlier in life you can accept that, I think the easier it is for you to kind of move past hurdles that come in your life, and not so much move past, but make a game plan on how to get past it or to work with whatever that hurdle is, you know.
Has COVID like altered any of your goals?
I think COVID's altered some goals in the aspect for almost the better, if this makes sense. And I'm sure you've experienced some of this too. Interviews are a lot easier to get nowadays. I was already getting interviews with a lot of D-list celebrities, and I'd get some B and C celebrities and stuff. But for the most part, you know, I was getting a lot of, you know, just up and comers in Hollywood and stuff. Now I'm like getting people that I'm like, really? You want to come do my show? And, you know, I didn't have to go through your agent, your publicist, and, you know, another representative just to make sure it was okay. Like, I just emailed you on Instagram or DM'd you on Instagram. Like, all right, thanks.
It's kind of crazy, yeah.
You know, and then this shit would have never happened. Like Zoom, like, never mind how profitable COVID's been for Zoom, you know, like really, just it's changed the world, and it's also showing a lot of industries that they can do your job from home. Like, you don't have to go in. Now that might fuck with a lot of people's salaries going forward, but you'll still be working. And just think about it, part of your salary you got that extra was for travel time, you know, and wear and tear on your vehicle. You don't have to worry about that if you're working from home. You know, I don't know. I grew up watching Disney, you know, and there's this movie called Pollyanna growing up, and she always used to just talk about, you know, being able to look on the bright side of life. And, you know, it's not always easy, but sometimes you just got to try to, you know, because life goes on no matter what. Life will always evolve, right? And if you don't evolve with it, you get left behind in the past. So,
well, I really like that aspect actually, because for me, anyways, when COVID first hit, I just remember how much it took a toll on my mental health, because obviously I took 2 years out of high school just to work and save up money because I had fucking nothing after high school,
right.
like a couple $100s. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna take a while. And then after all that working, all that misery, I'm like, I could finally pursue my dream. And I'm finally here, and then boom, just like that, it's just gone. And it really took a toll on me. But like you just said with Zoom, and I find it really interesting, I'm finally doing this, and I'm finally doing my own podcast. Like, I remember the artwork for this podcast. Shout out to Austin Whitco. I asked him 2 years ago, I'm like, could you give me some artwork for a podcast I want to do? And he's like, yeah. And then I never did anything with it. But now that I'm like home, I'm like, you know what? fuck it, I'm just gonna do it, and I'm here.
Everybody's home right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's home, and there's almost no reason not to do that passion play, that whatever you have.
Mm-hmm.
You starting your podcast, doing shows. If you're someone who's always been like, I've got an idea for a book and I wanted to write it, there's no fucking excuse right now for you not to be writing that fucking screenplay, that book, that you've always wanted to do yoga. There's no excuse now. There's no fucking
Yeah.
excuse now. Like,
Yeah.
really, you can't go anywhere. So get out the fucking go. You know where you can go? You can go to Walmart. Go to Walmart, buy a fucking yoga mat. Go back to your house where the only other place you're allowed to be.
Yeah.
And start your yoga, or go to Walmart and buy your art pad and start painting, or go start writing your novel. Like, you've been looking for this muse or excuse to go and find your passion. Well, here it is. Like, try to find, and people like I get it. People like me suck when bad shit's going on, and people are like, hey, look on the bright side. I would never have said this in the midst of COVID. We're nearing hopefully the end, and even if not, we've been in this a year, so now I feel comfortable enough. Like, it's not too soon, to say, like, all right, like, let's kind of try to find the benefits that we can get out of this, and let's try to get some kind of mental health back, and try to take control of what we can. Like,
Well,
you can only control your immediate surrounding, right? So that.
Well, one thing I think is that I felt this, and I feel like a lot of people have felt like this before Corona, BC, back when everything was kind of normal. People were always scared to put content out there because, like, it's gonna be shit. Like, one reason I didn't start my podcast, like, it's gonna be fucking shit. So, but now that I'm home at Zoom, it's like, you know what? I have Zoom, I have a webcam. It's gonna be shit, but what else can I do? I might as well go for it.
No, and why not? And why is it shit? Why it's only shit because you say it's shit, And then you put it out there, and what? So maybe 2 or 3 people say it's shit, but then you have like 4 or 5 people that say they love it, or like even more. Like, and even if everybody hates it and you love it, who gives a fuck? You put it out, like, that's the way I always think about people, because I do a lot of movie reviews and stuff, and people hate when I don't like stuff they like, and they take it personal. And I'm like, listen, don't take it personal, because I don't take it personal if you don't like what I like. We all have the option with a million TV channels out there, and a million streaming services out there. We all have the option to watch whatever the fuck we want to watch and enjoy what we want. This isn't shit that's gonna, what you watch isn't going to hurt somebody else. If you like Seinfeld, hey, by all means, wicked. That's not, I grew up in that era, and everyone from Gen X and baby boomers all love Seinfeld. I can't fucking stand it. I think it's stupid. But me saying that I think it's stupid doesn't mean that I think the people who watch it and enjoy it are stupid. It's the same with Will Ferrell movies. People are always on me about Will Ferrell movies because I've never liked them. And I'm like, I'm not saying that there's not a place for them. There's just not a place for them in my lexicon of what I want to watch and what I like. And it just doesn't, those don't sit well with me. But if it sits well with you, then hey, man, have at her, man. Tits up, have fun, And tits up, I know, is such a stupid saying, but
I think that's wise words from Zeus. Everybody tuning in, just do it, man. Just do it. Quit wasting time. If you can do it, just do it. I think that's great, man. Okay. Wholesome moment aside. I kind of want to ask you what you're doing now. So I know you're booking acting jobs. Shout out to Canal Side Soda. And I know you have He Said, She Said with Jade Parks. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
Along with Ratchet TV. Is there anything else going on that you can tell us?
What else is going on? Well, like I said, I just started producing a YouTube cooking show. The Vegan Hippie Chick, the restaurant here in Welland, 91 East Main Street. Shout out to Mandy McCullough and them. Her and one of her good friends, Heidi, who the two of them are doing the two vegan hippie chicks. And this is it's fun. We recorded our first episode last week. We're gonna get a few into the can and then put them out. And yeah, it's fun. It's it's a yogi. Heidi's a yogi, and she's a gluten-free vegan as well. Mandy's a vegan, and Mandy makes comfort vegan food. So if you go to the vegan hippie chick, you don't go there to lose weight. You go there to have comfort food. They have vegan brownies. They have vegan poutine. They have vegan BLTs. They've got, I mean, it. You go there and you have fun and you put on some weight. But it's like I said, it's comfort food. But between the two of them, they're doing their recipes. So Mandy's doing your big meals, and Heidi's doing all your baked meals and your desserts and stuff. And then they kind of just talk about life a little bit and give their perspectives on everything. And it's not they don't they're not preachy vegans. They're not the stereotypical militant. You've been eating meat. You guys are going to hell. Nothing like that. It's just to each their own sort of thing. And they talk more about life than they do about veganism. So yeah.
Actually, I actually heard you're a vegan. Is that true?
Yeah. I've been vegan or plant-based now for just a little over a year.
Mm-hmm. What made you make that choice? Was it just like to each their own, or were you just like, I cannot stand people who eat meat?
No, you know what? I haven't eaten beef in over 10 years now. I had watched a documentary. I watched a documentary called Forks Over Knives a long time ago, and it was just about the beef and cattle industry and the impacts it had on the world. And the impacts that it has, like the carbon emissions and the methane emissions that come from cows. And believe it or not, like it was scientifically proven that and it sounds such horseshit or cow shit, if you will, but the methane was a bigger cause for the hole in the ozone layer than cars were at that point. So,
really?
Yeah. And and I had the same thing. So I went and I researched it, because I'm not that person that's just going to blindly follow just because I saw something in the documentary. I go and research it and see what science has said, right? And scientists. I'm not one of those people that believes a guy in his basement. But I was also at the point though where I was eating a lot. Like every time I ate beef anyways, I felt like it was weighing in on my stomach really heavy. So, I'd done the research, and that coupled with that, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just done with beef. And then again, fast forward to a year ago, and I watched another documentary, which these are my problems. I need to stop watching documentaries. I'm not going to be eating anything. Called Game. I don't know if you've heard of Game Changers, though.
No, I haven't.
Documentary on Netflix. Really good documentary. And they just weighed scientifically the pros and cons of being a vegan as opposed to, well, theirs was plant-based as opposed to vegan, because, there's a slight difference.
Mm-hmm.
And then just everything in it just kind of blew my mind. And then again, so I went online and started researching what the doctors were saying. Then I have a nutritionist. I know you can't tell by looking at my Uncle Phil figure, but I asked my nutritionist, and my nutritionist was like, yeah, he's like, as long as you supplement the proper proteins and stuff like that, and you can get, and technically there's more proteins in a lot of vegetables than there are in, you can get meat. So, no. I was like, oh, damn. All right. Well, hook a brother up. So, so I tried it, and yeah, I mean, aside from an occasional accidental, like, oh shit, that's not vegan. Oh, I had no idea. I've good. Or I'm pretty sure one time I went to A&W when I was in Mississauga. And
sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they gave it. I'm pretty sure my Beyond Burger was an actual burger.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because I even had the like that meat feeling. But,
yeah. Well, would you offer any advice for someone who's like, because obviously I see a lot of value in veganism and plant-based diets, and it's something I really support. but just a taste of meat, man. It just fucking hits different. Like,
Yeah.
what would you like? What would you suggest to someone
Yeah,
who has that thought process?
there's that's when you start doing like the not so plant-based. Well, they still call it plant-based, but like that's when you start doing. For me, I do the Beyond Burgers, Beyond Sausage. I have there's a veggie round, like veggie ground, so it looks like ground beef, but it's just made out of vegetables. So I use that in spaghetti.
Does it taste good though?
Yeah,
Really?
man.
Okay.
And then and tofu, right? So people are like, oh, ooh, tofu. Yeah, but the thing with tofu, you've tofu's so simple. You just fry it up and you throw like chicken spice, the same thing you would season a chicken with. You put on tofu, you're eating tofu. I mean, you feel like you're eating chicken. Now it doesn't have the same consistency, but then when you start, to me, I'm at the point now where if I was to eat meat, it's not so much the taste that would get me; it would be the chewing, the stringiness. And I'm not trying to turn anybody off of meat, but then because when you have it for so long and you start thinking, "Oh my God, I'm chewing through sinew, and I'm through like I'm eating an animal," and I know, and I'm not trying to be like, "Oh, save the animals," but I'm a big believer in life is just a genetic lottery. You could have been a butterfly. You could have been a Chinese dude. You could have been Pakistani. You could have been an orangutan. You could have been a cow. You could have been anything, right? So, uh, yeah, I think about that, and it's like when I was the guy that even when I wasn't eating beef anymore, I would look at a steak commercial and I'd be like, "Oh, that looks so good." Now I look at that and I'm like, I feel like I'm watching Saw. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like really, I'm like, oh my God, no, no, you're gonna cut through the bone. It's your own foot. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, that's so funny.
But that's how how it feels for me now, and it's a ridiculous psychological thing. But there's one of
I've
the most
never, I've never heard.
one of the most dominant animals on the planet, and the one of the most masculine, muscular looking, and lean, most ferocious is the silverback gorilla, and gorillas are vegan.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like, and people are like, oh, well, they eat bugs, and I'm like, no, they groom. Like they're not eating the bugs; they're taking bugs off the hair of their kids, and they just throw it in their mouth. They're not, and like, yeah, okay, maybe you can say the insects, but that's even like I
That's
said,
so
I
minor,
think it's
yeah.
a stretch. I think it's a stretch, honestly.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's those animals out there as well. So, and if you look at a gorilla, they are all lean and all muscle,
Yeah, Jesus
you know,
Christ.
and that's leaves and whatever the hell else they're eating.
Hmm.
I mean, the people are like, oh well, they eat other monkeys. I'm like, no, they battle other monkeys, and they have fangs. So I'm sorry, if I had fangs and I was fighting for my life, I would probably take a bite out of someone. I might still do that.
I'm definitely gonna clip that. That's the funniest thing ever. It's like watching a Saw commercial.
Oh, hey, man.
Like you just hear it like a McDonald's ad on the radio. Everyone's just like vibing. You're just like shuddering.
Oh,
Make it stop. All right,
my cow's thigh.
all right. My final question I want to ask you, a part of this segment, is you talked about it. Obviously, you want to do your late night talk show, and it falls under the question: what are your goals in 5 years' time?
In 5 years' time, aside from still being alive when I'm 50, shit. 5 years' time, and this is completely arrogant of me to say, but I want 5 years' time to have my talk show. I hope in 5 years' time I'm already in year number 2, season 2 of my talk show, because I figure there's no way, like, I want to get in the business for a year,
Mm-hmm.
working under some producers, learning how to run a talk show, interning on whatever talk shows I can. And then in second year, I want to be making a bigger jump from one of those talk shows that I'm interning in to actually working on the show, to having segments on the show, to third year working out my deal to start my own late night talk show. And then year 4 and 5, like I said, we're rolling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's arrogant. It's arrogant as fuck to think that that could happen, but like I'm going to be the 50-year-old rookie. I will be the 50-year-old rookie at that point.
Don't you think you need a little bit of an ego though, if you really want to achieve what you want to achieve?
Yeah. I mean, there's good and bad in everything, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
ego is one of those things where, there's good ego, there's bad ego. And I mean, good ego is great. I mean, it's great. It's great to be, here's the way I put it. It's great to be confident. Nobody likes anyone who's cocky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good to be cocky when you're in a sports setting. I've been
Mm-hmm.
like, I played sports, and as an athlete, it's good to be cocky on the field, on the pitch, on the court, on the ice, whatever. But you don't want to be cocky and arrogant in life. I find,
Oh, hey, that's fair.
yeah.
Do you think you said you want the show to be in the second season? Do you find yourself more to be a type of person where you want to focus on one sole thing, or do you want to have a bunch of different things going?
I would hope that Zeus 10 is still going. My fear, my immediate fear, I don't know if it's my immediate fear or even it is a fear though. My fear is what happens to Ratchet TV, like in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Like over the next 5 years, am I going to still have, like, because it's going to get busy. If things go the way I want it to be, things are going to get stupid busy. And where does that leave Ratchet TV? Like, which was legit the launching pad. I don't know that I even take the leap to go back to school. If it wasn't for Ratchet TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of good admins on the page. And I trust them all to keep kind of running that fine. But yeah, I'm sure I could figure out a way for Steve and I have been doing every Saturday night Ratchet TV for since 2014, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and we're not every single Saturday. There's some Saturdays we can't make it, wedding, whatever, sick, whatever. But yeah, almost every Saturday. Like after I hop off of this call with you, it's Saturday now. I don't know if you're pre-recording, but as soon as I hop off this, I have to go and get the assets ready for tonight's show, which has been a new thing for us as well. Because we just do the show live from over my phone from a bar. We used to do it from the Geekery in Niagara Falls originally.
Nice.
Then the hippie chick. Then we started doing it here from my room, and you can't tell here, but you can. Oh shit! Zoom's green screen is a lot better than streaming. I was just trying to show you my room, my studio that I got.
I'm like, I can clearly see your room in the background, buddy. That nice little city skyline. I like it.
Yeah, you can't see none of it, can you? But yeah, here I'll show you real quickly because it's dirty. But so yeah, that's what I really got here, and that's the studio in my dirty house. So,
all right. Well, I think you have plenty of time to figure that stuff out, and I wish you the best. Now,
thank you.
Moving on to our next segment. That was conversational style. This one is no thinking, no breaking down the question, just first impulse.
Okay.
Are you ready for this? It's quick fire questions. You have to answer. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Okay. Zeus, you have to answer. Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Comics or movies?
Comics.
No sense of smell or no sense of taste?
No sense of taste.
Glass of whiskey or a fat cigar?
Glass of whiskey.
Make the bed in the morning or leave as is?
Leave it as it is.
TV or radio?
TV.
Would you rather be able to fly or be invisible?
Fly.
Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
And finally, Tom Otto or Bruce Gilbert?
Bruce Gilbert.
All right,
I love Otto. Don't get me wrong. I love Otto. I do. I think Otto's legit, man. Otto's a legend. Otto's a fucking legend. But Bruce Gilbert is legit the kindest person I think I've ever met in my life. He's like the ultimate dad, which is so crazy because he has no children of his own. So,
all right, well, yeah, bless. But if you know, you know. Bless Bruce Gilbert.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. That's all the questions I have. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Oh, thanks, man. You were great. This was fun.
Yeah. All right. As part of my last part, I want to give you the stage. Plug whatever you want.
If you want, you can tune in every Saturday to RATGTV. We start roughly 6 p.m. You can follow us on Ryan's All Things Geek on Facebook, the best way to follow us. You can also follow me on my normal page, Zeus Fleming. You can send a friend request. I don't always accept them, but you can follow me there. It's a public page. I post all my stuff there. He said, she said, we do every Friday at 10. I do a Warrior recap show every week for the HBO Max show. We have some of the actors come on and some of the directors and stuff from the show, which is pretty epic. And that we don't know when that releases, but we do post it up. So just check around. Follow me on Instagram and follow me on all these stuff that's on the bottom here that you can see here, but you can't really see. But yeah.
All right.
That's it, man. Thank you so much. And follow Brian. Brian
thanks, man.
Does a great show, man.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.